A weird quirk of spirits history, but especially bourbon history, is that for most of its existence, it existed merely to be drunk. Shocking, I know. No one collected it, and certainly no one sat on massive bunkers of it, speculating that it would be valuable one day. These days, though, I know of a personal wealth manager down in Tampa who spends $500,000 per year on rare bourbon, and he's a teetotaler. In fact, for most of the latter half of the 20th century, no one was really buying bourbon at all, seeing it as an old man's drink at best, good old boy Southern rotgut at worst. That meant many bottles lingered on store shelves, and many more bottles sat in home bars and cellars and basements and in attics, never opened, gathering dust. Thus, in the late 2000s, just as modern bourbon was having a renaissance, the concept of dusty hunting arose. That is, trekking to out-of-the-way liquor stores in small towns and sketchy neighborhoods. If the clerk sits behind bulletproof glass, that's good. In search of old bottles that never got sold for whatever reason. Or going to estate sales and flea markets, and even scouring places like eBay, Craigslist, and eventually Facebook for someone's grandpa's bottle of 1980s Wild Turkey, or 1970s Old Granddad, or maybe even 1950s Weller that had sat in a basement or attic or locked liquor cabinet for decades. Not all dusty bottles were desirable, of course. When my grandpa died, the best thing I found in his liquor cabinet was some neon green Midori from the mid-1980s, and many were hard for neophytes to date and assess. But if you taught yourself how to read barcodes and Julian dating, learned how to identify tax stamps and DSP, distilled spirits plant numbers, and knew where good juice was being distilled and when, you could end up scoring some major rarities, ones most folks weren't well schooled enough to know were tastier than just about anything being released to market these days.